Hey, why you Tesla gaining, why the stock is up, and why you're making money. I'm Brian. Welcome to my Tesla weekend. Yeah, it's that time again. We're back. Hello, Jeff and Pig KLB and David and who is this and Rob and everybody. Everybody in the chat. Am I missing anybody? John, I think I said already. Gotta go up. The usual suspects. John, hello. Very suspicious. Don't know if you noticed. It's been a good week. That's year to date. We're up quite a bit. Let's just look at the 5-day. That's still pretty good. 15%, 16% in a week. What's going on? Well, a lot of it is the Dow is up. And for that matter, the NASDAQ is up. 4%, not quite as exciting. Dow at 3%, maybe not quite as exciting as Tesla's 16%. So maybe there's more to it. Now, I should mention that stocks are rising with the job market staying hot. And the Dow had its best day of the year, up 1.1%. It's, I guess, pretty good. Yeah, we had a good, stronger than expected jobs report. 339,000 in May with an upward revision for April. Doesn't say that here, but it did happen. And the Federal Reserve is likely to skip interest rate hikes at the next meeting, which would be pretty cool, I think. Certainly feels like it might be time to let this cool down on its own, as it were. But a rate hike would mean higher interest rates, which would mean higher car loans rates. Don't want that. No, you need the rates to stay low, because every time you increase the interest rates, it erodes buying power. Yes, and as Jeff points out, thank you, the debt ceiling compromise was reached. That is always a good sign. But the last bunch of debt ceiling negotiations all ended the same. All bluff and bluster. So what else could be going on? I don't know, but the S&P ESG index family has said, yeah, we're going to include you. What is the ESG index fund? The idea is it's a giant fund that invests in companies that only have responsible governance. They'd been kicked out because apparently it was a joke. It was a joke. The company making megapacks to replace gas peaker plants and electric cars to replace gas cars. No, they're not good for the environment. Ridiculous. Some of these ESG funds increase by over $500 billion in a year and have done so before. Interesting. So, I lost one. Let me find it. So Tesla's back in the S&P 500 ESG. And Alexandra shared her frustration. How come you didn't make the same hoopla this year on April 21st when you included Tesla back in? Much more catchy last year when you dropped them, right? Very strange. The S&P has absolutely forfeit their credibility. So what else is going on? I feel like surely there must be something. Well, Ford last week announced that they're going to use the Tesla charger connector, NACS, and it could kill CCS. Not globally. It's the standard in Europe and much of the world. But Ford's going to be using it. So Tesla has over 10,000 chargers in the U.S. Ford's going to be adopting it, and others have as well. While this may not mean the end for CCS, it is a strong signal that this won't be the end of NACS, the Tesla charger. Because we really don't need two standards. One standard's better. It's a better handle. We went over this last week. But last week when this news dropped, the market wasn't able to react. Maybe some of what we're seeing is this trickling out. And who will be the next domino to fall? Well, apparently, Freewire. Freewire makes charging stuff, and they are going to add NACS by 2024. That's only a few months away. So they're going to be adding it as well, because they know it's not just Tesla. It's Ford and Aptera, should they make it to market. They use the NACS. And anybody else who should come along for the ride. Others will surely follow. The only question is who, how many, and when. And I think the answer is a bunch of them, and soon. That's my scientific guess. By the way, get your questions in, because this show will not fill the whole half hour, and we will have time to chat. By the way, searches for NACS have gone up. Not surprising. Other news, this Elon feller, he went to China. First visit since 2019 or 2020. It's been about 3 years. But what's he doing there? Who's he talking to, and about what? This doesn't go away, by the way. Great design, NBC. Really great. Super long article. You could have fit that on a fortune cookie. Probably should have. Well, one thing that's going on there is Jamie Dimon with JP Morgan has, with Chase, the chief executive of JP Morgan, has held a summit. And a bunch of big businesses came to it. We had Starbucks, we had Pfizer, we also had mining representatives. Geely was there. And while we don't know if Elon attended this summit, at the very least he had the access to the people who were there. If outside of the summit they wished to meet, that's a thing that could have happened. We also know he met with the president or some high executive at CATL, the battery company. I imagine to cement their relationship. I imagine to discuss where the next mega factory, gigafactory is going to go and get that sorted out so that they could have batteries ready in that location at the appropriate time. So this is kind of good news. And for that matter, they may be expanding factories there. There was talk of expanding the existing factory, adding one line, and apparently the permits were denied. Who denies permits in China? I didn't even know that was a thing. I think it was political posturing. I think what they were trying to do was say, look, we really want you to bring more than one additional line. Can we get the Megapack factory? Can we get the whole new factory for the compact? We'd love to build it. And we do know from, who is it? Matthew Donegan Ryan on Twitter, the guy who had all the Tom Jew leaks from Investor Day, that the land adjacent to Giga Shanghai is available should Tesla decide to buy it. When I say buy, I mean lease it for 99 years. But that's all right. It's how property is done there. And then, of course, we've got him talking to the staff, to the factory executives, technicians, managers, workers. It's he showed a good face. He performed as a CEO would be expected to, and it went quite well. As always, he thanked the people doing the actual work because that's what he does. That's what he always does. So it is the sort of thing the market likes to see. But what about the next factory? I see Bill is asking. England? Canada? Australia. Yes, Australia would love one, but I think everybody would. Less dancing this time. That's unfortunate. I think every country would want one. Almost every. So is India in the cards? Apparently they were asked to submit a detailed plan in order to continue their negotiations. That plan would include an exemption on imported parts while a local supply chain is established. Now, we know that when Giga Shanghai opened, something like 10% of the car was made locally with all the parts coming in from Fremont to build it and other suppliers. And then within a year, it was up to 90%. That would absolutely happen with a factory in India. India's got all the local parts production they need to quickly spool up to fill this demand. The factory would, of course, be modeled after Giga Mexico, Giga Nueva Leon, so it would be building an affordable compact car for sale in very high volume, and presumably also to export, because it would be a right-hand drive country, and it'd be nice to have the ability to sell inexpensive cars in right-hand drive countries. Many of those are developing countries. So what happened? Well, a couple things. Investors see Musk's renewed focus on Tesla. That's good. China in particular. He did hire a new CEO to run Twitter. That's certainly creates the appearance of more time available. But there's a lot more. Shareholders see the stock rise recently from ongoing AI hype and its potential. Detailed plan is code for bigger bribes. Sometimes. But AI is very hot right now. I'm sure you've heard. It's been in the news kind of everywhere. All these stocks are surging. We've got NVIDIA. We've got all these companies. And short sellers have lost more than $13 billion betting against just 5 AI stocks. AI is kind of hard to wrap your head around. Maybe some people look at it as a meme, like meme stocks, like GameStop or any of the ones that get a little too much hype on social media. But it could be any number of things. It could be real. It could be the future. And increasingly, it's looking like it is, because we're already seeing jobs lost and workflow shift because of AI, specifically ChatGPT. But the real reason that you guys are making money is because you're the experts. Yeah. When I go to events and I meet people, I didn't know what to expect before the first one. This was the first big one. This was in Texas a year ago. I expected people to come up to me with a million silly questions, and they didn't. They came up to me with a handful of very detailed, very pointed questions that were of exceptional quality. But for the most part, everyone around them had very strong opinions or outright answers. Because people who follow Tesla follow it very, very closely. I know people in the greater Seattle area who were big investors, big fans of Microsoft back in the day, back in the 90s, back during the dot-com bubble. And they were huge fans. They knew everything about the company. Well, I mean, they didn't know who designed what. They didn't know where it was made. They didn't know any key players outside the top maybe 4 or 5. None of that stuff mattered. And if you look at the other car plants, I would guess that everyone I know that I meet at these events knows more about what's going on inside the Tesla factories, who all the key players are, better than the analysts know about other companies. These analysts looking at Ford and GM, they don't know how many plants they have necessarily. They certainly don't know what goes on in each one. They don't know what the output is from each one. They don't know which factories will be ramping up next quarter and which will be taking a little hiatus. They don't know that. But you do, because you follow this very closely. So it makes for a very different kind of experience overall. So that is, you know, it. That's my Friday. Yeah. So why don't we get into the Q&A? But first, let me thank my patrons who get early access, bonus content, and keep this channel running. I cannot do it without you guys. And it means the world to me. Got to update this. Got a couple new patrons I got to say thanks to. But then I have to open Photoshop and do all that. So soon, very soon, very soon. By the way, new background, a little less garagey. Maybe that's a good thing. We shall see. We shall see. So let's look at some of the comments. Love you too, Jeff Krupke. Thank you. If Tesla gets to the 4680 specs and speed of production to their goals, Tesla will be able to put them in all models and then will qualify for every U.S. delivered model. And also they'll get the $35 per kilowatt hour. So if if a battery is made for a Model 3, let's say it's got a 60 kilowatt hour battery, times $35, you're talking $2,000 in back-end credits that just go to the manufacturer. It's not even part of the price. It's just more margin that you can use. Is that, well, this is just going to enrich these companies. Really? Because they keep cutting prices. GreenPad, I did get a factory tour. It was just final assembly, not general assembly. It wasn't the big tour that folks got at Cyber Rodeo, but I did get in and I did get to see it. And there's no footage because cameras were not allowed and they were on me like glue. So that was pretty fun. Party on, yeah. Oh, we should start a pool for when supply will exceed demand. That's a tough target. I mean, you could say just because there's models in inventory that we're already there, but I think that would be a short-sighted way. Yeah, some AI is a bubble. That is, not all of them are going to be the next Chat GPT or even survive. Model 3 now gets, all Model 3 sold in the US now get the full $7,500 credit. So if you're looking at a Model 3 and you live in California, there is a $5,500 credit if your income is under, I think, $135,000, something like that. So that puts yours at $12,000, $13,000 off sticker. That's a pretty substantial discount. Now, actually, to get the $7,500, you probably have to make 75 grand-ish to have that kind of tax liability. So you'd have to have an income between 75,000 and 130. Somebody's going to get it. Somebody will get that big fat credit. Colorado's is a little more generous. I think it might be 5,000 with fewer restrictions. So there are people who will be getting Models 3 and Y in the $30-ish thousand range, maybe less. How's the competition going to compete? What are they going to do apart from go on Amazon and shop for fresh pants? Because that's what they're doing right now. Oh, England, Canada. I still like Canada, but I don't know if they need another North American factory right now. U.S. I took off the table because they've got enough capacity in the U.S. and room to expand in Texas. Canada, because of Mexico, Canada might be off the table. England, I don't think, is a prime candidate right now. Biggest hope for Tesla is the improvement forward on the 4680, for sure. Which are more likely to go NACS, Japanese or Korean or European? Boy, I'd sure like to hear your guys' thoughts on that. That would have been a better poll. Let's ask it right now. By the way, little bit of upside is what the expectation is. We can do a poll. We can do it. We got a second. Start a poll. Got to move my beverage out of the way. I know, this is quality. NACS next. By whom? Europe. Being Japanese or Korean. There we go. Ask. There we go. The next Tesla steamroller will exceed the SpaceX steamroller. Can't wait for Tesla-made LFP sales. I wonder if that's going to be a thing. I don't know. It's just the form factor. The chemistry should be comparable. I don't know if that's something you can make with a dry electrode or if that would even be a benefit. I should ask Jordan Giesecke from The Limiting Factor. An optimist in every home is a better campaign slogan available. Much better than a chicken in every pot. Well, if you have an optimist, they can put the chicken in the pot for you. Yeah, the whole 4680 situation is curious. They are cobalt-based chemistry, and Tesla has stated half of the cars will be LFP. All the standard range ones will. It might be half by total vehicle count rather than by total gigawatt hours, because the Semi and the Cybertruck require that. They require a nickel chemistry, and I would say so does the S and X, and maybe even some performance models, but the standard range are selling like hotcakes. Yeah. India would be the smartest addition. Optimus can raise chickens in the backyard. I like the idea of it taking over house sitting duties, water the plants, feed the dogs, pay attention to the security cameras, pick up my mail, grab the packages off the porch, just keep the place tidy, and turn the heat off because you don't need it. Not necessarily cobalt-based, depending on where they make them. Tesla has loads of battery formulas. And also, Tesla has consistently, over years, reduced the amount of cobalt in their batteries. And that Panasonic has been doing that with them as well. John asks, shoot burglars? No, you misunderstand. We're doing Terminator, not RoboCop. Tesla's up almost 100% year to date. Yeah. And... but it's still down, 40% from its all-time high? So I'm excited, but this is a long-term play for me. I'm not ready. I'm not old enough to withdraw from my retirement, and all of it's in my IRA. I have no investments in the market outside of my IRA. My IRA in my house, baby. That's it. So, If the range drops below 330 miles for the Model Y, that would kill it for my wife. The standard range is under 300. I want to say it's 287, 297. But remember, with LFP, you get to use 100%. You can charge to 100% without causing any harm, which gives you an effective range that's a lot closer than if you were babying your traditional lithium-ion high-nickel concentrate battery. Feed the dogs that eat burglars. Or just feed the burglars to the dog. I don't know. Yeah, Jordan Kisigi is very smart. I'm not getting any younger. That's true. I should apply a filter. Unless you want to serve time for the robots action. Well, I mean, I didn't tell him to. Will Neuralink and Tesla robot work together? I think Neuralink might be farther away than we think. My buddy just ordered a Volvo. What the? He's invested in Tesla. I don't know. A Volvo. Someone has to buy him, I guess. LFP doesn't give you any longer range on the road if you consider charge rate. The out-of-spec motoring, I think it might have been on out-of-spec reviews. I think it was on out-of-spec motoring. Not Kyle, but one of the other guys on the channel did the 10% challenge with a standard range Model 3 with LFP batteries, and it performed very well. In 15 minutes, he went from 10% to 60%, which got him 104 miles, 109 miles, something like that. So it could be a little faster, but it depends how much road tripping you do. It definitely charges faster in the bottom half, yes. Well, and it certainly, all of them are going to taper over 80, that's for sure. The Tesla GPU cluster is working hard 24/7. And when we say that it's the 7th fastest supercomputer on Earth, well, it's a moving target. We don't know. It could be 4th. They've certainly added to it since we last heard, but we don't know who else has got supercomputers, and we don't know how many of them are disclosed. Driving from the Bay Area to DFW, you need more than 105 miles. Yep, that's fair. Batteries are on a steep curve, getting better. We're getting close to the point where the cost reductions are going to struggle because cell manufacturing can only get so cheap. We've got good chemistry, we've got good processes and procedures, but making the cells is still a mechanical feat, and there's thousands of them in every car. But it is still on an improving curve, and that's exciting. Got a couple more minutes if anybody wants to get in any exciting stuff. I'll just let this run. This is the first time I met old Joe Tepmeyer here. That was great. I've now met him, 5 times maybe in person. He's every bit as awesome in person as he seems like on his channel, which is great. I've met very few YouTubers who weren't every bit as awesome in person as on their channel. And I'm not going to name names, but Jeff knows who they are. If density improves, it gets cheaper to build them. Oh, for sure, because you don't need as many. That's also true. Every bit of performance helps. If you can shave just a few percentage points off in weight, in cost, so, well, 2% cheaper, what difference does it make? Well, if you're selling 4 million or 10 million, all of a sudden, over 10 years, you're talking $500 billion. It adds up quickly. Any other questions? Met that gentleman a couple times. I've met Chandra Das many times. Okay. Oh, yeah, I should like my own video. That'd be a nice idea. 2% of 20 million cars. Oh, would you like to hear my wild speculation about Project Highland? I was not expecting an announcement this week. I was not expecting that at all. It's too soon. The slowing we may have seen in Shanghai is not the same as shutting off the tap. And I don't think they want to release the Highland in any factory until they can release it in both factories. Because releasing it in China would kill sales in the US. Everyone would say, I'll just wait. I want that. So I think, my speculation is that in Shanghai, if we are that close, which we could be, that they have shut down one of the lines that makes Model 3. There are only 2 lines. They've shut down one of the lines to retool it and left the other one running and done the same in Fremont. And that could be what they're working on right now, is getting those parallel lines up to full speed so that someday in the very near future, they can flip a switch and say, it's time, it's done. And all those other ones, maybe we'll sell them to fleet customers. Maybe we'll just keep them at the, 30-ish thousand price point, while the Highland is going to start at 45, 50, 60, something like that. First time I met Ellie. So that's what I think. What if he likes a lager? So what I'm having today in my fancy Tesla cup, trying to show you without pouring on myself, is a Powerade. Because I needs me my electrolytes, I guess. Some YouTubers don't think Highland is real. Well, certainly they'll refresh it at some point. Anything but Bud Light. Certainly they'll refresh it at some point. Doesn't it seem like it's been about long enough? Sales are definitely not going up. It's not the most popular form factor. I don't know. I think it's going to be time. Hardware 4 happens when? Do not know. Have not seen enough information to be able to make a qualified assessment. Brian Rashetsky. Met him a few times as well, of course. Bears Workshop, yes. Need details on the new chip, etc. There 2 weeks. You guys. We have fun. I sure enjoy hanging out with you. I do. Oh, let's look at the poll. Top answer appears to be, wow, nobody thinks Japan is going to adopt NACS. And only a few people are thinking that it's going to be a European company. Yeah. I would love to see the Highland to have front and rear castings, not bloody likely. I think it would. I think that would be the whole point of it. Got to reduce costs, increase efficiency. That's the way to do it. Love you too, Digital Blade Canada. Love you all. Appreciate you guys hanging out. I'm scared for Toyota too, but they're too big to fail. Their government will rescue them should it get to that point. I'm confident. So as always, you guys, yeah. Thanks to my patrons. Thanks to you guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for interacting in the chat. My take on Megapack ramp is that it is ramping. It continues to ramp. It is a much, much simpler product in terms of manufacturing than any vehicle. It's square, for one thing. It's all right angles. It makes it very, very easy. Alrighty, guys. What did I miss? What did I misunderstand? Leave it in them comments below and stay tuned. Stay juicy. And I can't wait to hear from you clever robots on the flippity flop.